Okay, so I am going to get you some range footage, which means I will be that guy that's the guy that's talking to himself in public, which I am a little nervous and don't love that a ton. But this, what I'm going to start with is just showing you what it's capable of, or what I'm capable of. The gun can do a lot better. So we are going to be starting at 25 yards, 10 shots. These are the targets that we're shooting at. And for comparison, I'll just hold up my hand. If you can see that, they're a little bit larger than my hand, and I have relatively large hands, for example's sake. So going out to 25 yards, taking it relatively slow, and I will take you and show you that grouping as well. So this is 25 yards offhand. I do have some pretty bad misses, unfortunately. Let's see if you can actually make out that target from here. Yeah, you can make out the target. So you've got 2 in the bullseye. You've got 3 that are in the 9. One that's in the 9 actually broke in the line almost, kind of on the, depending on how you want to call it. We've got 2 in the 8, and then we have 3 misses at 25 yards. I'm going to try that again because I don't think I'm actually doing the pistol justice there. It's pretty easy to be on these targets at 25 yards. I'm just a little uncomfortable talking to myself is what it boils down to. So I loaded up 5 more rounds. The ammo that I'm using is a bulk Federal 40 grain lead round nose. Usually 22 is going to prefer the lead round nose, and then the TX22 in particular likes a longer bullet because otherwise what you run into is, if you see that, if you have a shorter bullet, you get muzzle dive, or you get the as it's driving it home, it'll dive and catch right there. So that's something you do want to look for with the TX22. And since that target is all sorts of messy, we are going to move on over to the right hand target, which is clean. And this is 5 shots, 25 yards. I will say that it's probably been about 1,500 or 2,000 rounds since I've actually cleaned this gun. I'm being pretty lazy with it, and it just caught right there. Safety is on. 1200 FPS, which this is a 40 grain 22 LR, and it is 100 claim feet per second. But we are running into that same failure there. Don't know if you can make that out. I will tell you that the loads in this particular, so it's Federal Auto Match 40 grain lead round nose. It just feels, to me it feels like there's quite a difference in how much power per shot. CCI has a lot better as far as like quality control, but this is a better representation of that grouping. So we have one just outside of bullseye, we have two clean in the 9, and then we have the other two that would also be counted as 9s. And to give you an example of the size of that grouping right there, but two of the other shots did break the 9 zone, so they would count for there. And that is a pretty fair representation as far as the accuracy at 25 yards. And now I'm going to show you this middle target. I was shooting out at 50 and 100 yards, so I had to dial this optic back in for this kind of distance. So this is just at 10 yards to get it dialed in, but they are, all 5 are in bullseye. That was shooting sitting down, so I'm going to shoot sitting down to give you a better representation of accuracy out of this pistol. Even with me sitting down, you're probably still, you know, there are better shooters out there, but I do want to see if we can clean that up and what we can accomplish. This isn't a clean. We have 5 hits in the bullseye already, so I will show you what we can achieve. So again, we're shooting for the middle, and it already has 5 in the bullseye, so I'll tell you what we're hitting in a second. We are going to be shooting an additional 5 at that same target. As you can see, I'm not using an actual gun, but even shooting this will give you better results as far as accuracy is concerned. We are running into that same exact failure. So I think what we probably have here is we probably have a failure to feed, would be my guess. Yep, and we had a failure to feed. Again, I have put about 1,500 to 2,000 rounds through this pistol without cleaning it. So it usually runs far more reliable, but I also don't think it's like in that Federal, that ammunition is just, I don't think it's particularly liking that either. We are getting locked back. I will say the biggest flaw with the TX22, and you start to run into a lot of reliability issues. This is the TX22 competition. It's the second one I've owned. Is usually magazine related. So 22 or any rimfire is really dirty. It gets down in the magazine, but also these springs are very lightly sprung and they wear out pretty quickly. So it's something that, you know, if you're running to a lot of failure, that's probably why. So we have we had one more bullseye that time. Again, this is at 25 yards, and then we kept everything in the 9. There was one that broke that line, so it's a little bit tighter than what this is. This is a little bit more spread out, but technically, this is a pretty similar score, except we had one in the bullseye when we were shooting from a sitting, resting on the table there. So the next thing I want to show is running the gun at pace. That's going to be a little bit more difficult due to the fact that I don't think this ammo is going to do that very well. Magazines hold 16 rounds. I am going to remove 1 round, so we're working with 15 rounds. And what I'm going to try to do today is we are going to hit the 25, let it run out, and then try to get 3 hits per target. And yeah, hopefully we can do that without a failure to feed or any other failures, because it is not this ammo. Run clean, and let's see if we kept them all on target. You can see as the target gets out there, I do have to slow down quite a bit once you get to the 15-yard mark, and then you're kind of on a race to actually keep accuracy while hitting before it reaches 25. So we've got a clean target on the first one, which is the easiest one. That's where I'm starting. And then over here, we've also got a clean target. And then surprisingly enough, those are all pretty good, although that's the second one. So down here with a clean target, it's still quite nice. Down here, this is the second to last as far as what I've shown before. We have one bullseye, one in the 9, one all the way out in the 7, so we almost missed there. Here we have one close to the bullseye, but not quite, and then we've got one in the 9, which I slowed down a lot to get those results. But we kept everything clean. This is a lot easier than the 22 LR, 9, it's still a lot of fun. So I am going to put it out at 7, and we're going to do the same thing, except I'm going to leave the 16th round in there, so I will get 3 per target. Again, that's at 7 yards. Hopefully without failure, but it is a dirty gun, and I don't think it likes this ammo. So again, that was at 7 yards, and that was running about as quick as I can. So we've got, it's getting pretty messy, so I can't really tell you where the hits are. Down here at the bottom left hand, I do have some bullseye. One. And then down here, I know everything was in the 9 or a bullseye. So I think we put one down at the 8. But and then right here the center target, this over in the 7, and I believe the 8 over here might be good as well. I want to demonstrate the hitting the 25 and shooting this as it's moving again, because I was moving pretty slow, just because it was my first attempt at moving at speed. So you get the painstaking reload here, and we'll demonstrate that again. Alright, so we do currently have 3 that are off target. The only thing is that when it gets this messy, if I'm missing on the right hand or a left hand miss, we won't really be able to catch that at this point, unfortunately. But we've got 15 loaded up. And we are going to click that 25, let it run out, and 3 hits per target. Took off a little bit quicker than I was used to, so I wasn't really ready. We still got all the shots off before it hit out to the 25 point, but it did get all the way out to about 7 yards or so before I even took my first shot, which is a big disadvantage to get the shots off as quickly as possible. So I believe we did run we had a clean run, although I was shooting really high and right. When it comes to the last target, we had 2 that are in the 7, and those are fresh. So it is possible that if my other shots were even worse or more to the right, that I missed one there. I would say everything else, I'm confident that it was clean, but I would definitely believe you if I missed one down there on that bottom right-hand side. We are going to go back out to 7 yards, and I will do a little bit more shooting there. Again, this is create a rhythm to your shooting is pretty important for pace, I would say. Perhaps once you get your rhythm down, you're going to shoot a lot better. So we are running fully loaded, so that's 16 rounds. What we're going to do is 3 per target, and then the last round is going to go in the center again. So this safety is fitted really, really good. You can see that play in the safety and the post isn't loaded, so I can give you a close example of that. But when you're really bearing down on the pistol and aiding in control, you want to ride really high so the recoil has less leverage on you. What I run into is I will put that safety on during shooting, which is pretty frustrating, especially if you're having a good run. I would say that is by far the most frustrating thing about ownership in 22 competition. It's really difficult to get your rhythm down with this because it becomes, a game of rhythm and timing your shots. And the recoil is sometimes completely different, just with the different level of powder that's in this Federal auto match. It is 40 grain and claims 1200 FPS, but I would imagine that you're probably seeing like 100 to 200 feet of difference. I don't know if that's just this particular batch, but that is what I'm experiencing, and that's my excuse for my slow shooting. We did run a clean target by the looks of it. All right. I hope this helped you make your decision. I would actually like to pick up the compact version of this. I think that would be a pretty interesting gun. I also think it's funny that this has a full barrel on it. You see a lot of that in the 2011 world. This is a 22 LR. It's a little interesting. It does actually get warm when you're running it this aggressively and eating up ammo, so I guess there is some point to it. So the difference between the TX22 and the TX22 compact is the guide rod is metal, and then you do have a full barrel, so it's going to handle heat a lot better. It is a fixed barrel, and that's how all the TX22s are fixed barrels. And then usually, so with the TX22, the compact and the standard, the optic is going to ride on the slide itself. So this actually has a mounting plate that mounts to the barrel, and so you don't have it reduces reciprocating mass, which is nice. And then it also aids in reliability, just because adding weight to something like 22 LR is definitely gonna, it's gonna mess with the reliability when you do something like that. But the trigger in this is exactly the same across the board for the TX22. The big difference is going to be, handles the same, all that stuff is the same. You're getting a different barrel, a longer barrel, a little over 5 inches, I do believe, and then you're getting a steel guide rod, but everything else exact same, and then different mounting plates, and there are some advantages to that. Alright, that wraps it up. I hope you guys enjoyed this, because I am not a huge fan of being that crazy guy who talks to himself at the range. Y'all have a great night. Bye.